Good morning. It's Darcy Loma. Welcome back to our Thoughtfully Fit Thursdays. I'm wondering today if there's anything you have done that you later regretted. Or maybe something you said that you later regretted. Maybe you got frustrated and hit an angry reply to an email in the heat of the moment. Or worse, reply all. Well, today I'm going to talk about regrets, and I'm going to share a story of a regret that I have, and it's actually around something that I didn't do. So when I graduated from college, I was in my undergrad, and I was one of those students who was very disciplined and very focused. I was one who was in the library studying on Friday nights. And I don't know if other campuses have this, but I'd be there and, the library would close at midnight, and at about 11:45, some opera music would come on, piped through the loudspeaker, and it would get progressively louder and louder and louder until at midnight, when the libraries closed, the opera music was so loud you couldn't even hear your head think. That was a really creative way to get people out of the library. But I was, just very driven. So when I was in college, not only did I have a full load, I was an RA in the dorms. I worked about 30 hours a week for a leadership consulting firm. I was in every organization that you could imagine, in every leadership role. So needless to say, when I graduated, I was exhausted and stressed and overwhelmed. And I decided that I wanted to move to Colorado. And I wanted to just go and unplug from it all and ski and have some time where I didn't have so much work and responsibilities and studying and leadership roles. And I got really excited. I was thinking about the fresh powder and the skiing, and I had already in my mind started to plan that, I was going to drive there, and when I got to where I thought I should be, I would know, and I would figure it out. So I excitedly called my parents to tell them my plan. And my dad, I will never forget, my dad replied, he said, "Darcy, you can't go to Colorado. Colorado is for hippies." I will never forget it. So guess what I did? I didn't go. I didn't do what probably the normal 20-something-year-old would do and be like, "Yeah, okay, thanks, Dad, I'm out of here." I instead thought, he's right. I didn't go to college and graduate summa cum laude and, work so hard to go be a ski bum. So I stayed in the Midwest, and I got a stable job with health insurance and benefits and a salary. I got a job that I wasn't passionate about. I didn't love. It was fine. It wasn't bad. But I didn't go. Wondering if there's something you can relate to that you regret, a decision you made that later you thought, if I could do it again, I would do it differently. I would do it over. I would change how I behaved. Well, here's the cool thing about regret, what it can be the cool thing, is that if you behave in a thoughtfully fit way, you can actually turn your regret into a lesson. So when you think about the core of being thoughtfully fit, you pause and you think and then you act. I didn't do that. When my dad told me not to go, I didn't pause and think about how does that serve me, and would I later regret that? And what could I do that would allow me to, find that joy and have some stability? I just acted. I just reacted. He's right. I have to stay. So when you can strengthen that core and pause and think and act, you can actually learn from your regrets. And that, it actually took me a long time, more than 20 years, almost 25 years. Because when I fast forward to 2012, when I was working for Senator Cole for 12 years as the director in his Madison office, and he announced that he is not going to be seeking re-election, there was an immediate thought for me around what does that mean? What am I going to do next? I've been here for 12 years. And so I started to talk to friends, to coworkers, and to my family, and it was all pretty much the same theme, that I would look for a job in the political sector, nonprofits, education, sort of where I had spent the last couple of decades. But I remembered the regret that I had from decades earlier of not following my passion and living my dream and going to Colorado. And so at the time, I hired a life coach. And I said, I want to be really intentional and thoughtful about what I do next, because this is a big decision and this will probably determine my next path for quite some time. And she completely handled it differently than anybody who I was talking to at the time. She didn't should on me and start to brainstorm like, okay, well, do you want to go on to work for the next U.S. senator? Do you want to stay on with this senator in a different way? Because he had made me some wonderful offers, some job offers. She instead helped me to pause and to think. And how did she do that? She asked me some thoughtful questions. What's your passion? What do you love? What do you want? What if in 10 years you had no regrets? What would you do? And the answer was so clear and so scary. I said, I'd launch my own business. I'd become a full-time life and leadership coach. I would do executive coaching and public speaking and keynotes. I mean, I came alive. And she helped me to act differently, to learn from the regrets that I had previously, to be able to show up differently in my life. And here I am, 5 years later, and I couldn't be happier. I had no idea that there could be so much passion and joy professionally. So the cool thing is, and Brené Brown talks about, regret is one of your greatest life lessons. I would add, if you choose to be thoughtful about reflecting on your regrets, learning from them, pausing and thinking about how that action made me have a regret and what might I do differently? Because the core, that loop, pause, think, act, it actually keeps going. So you pause, you think, how do I want to be? How do I want to show up? What are the pros and the cons? Then you act, and then you pause and think, how did that action go? So it's a loop, it's a cycle. And so not only can strengthening your core help you to learn from regrets and live a really intentional, thoughtful life, it also can help you prevent yourself from having new regrets. So in the heat of the moment, when you are triggered by that email and you're pounding out the response, maybe you pause and you think, what happened last time that I hit reply in 1 minute? Wonder what has them feeling so angry. Wonder what's needed in this moment to really focus on the relationship instead of being right. I think I'm going to pause and I'm going to hold this email for 24 hours. So the action can be informed by pausing and thinking. And then when you come back to it 24 hours later, reading it with fresh eyes and not being triggered in the moment, maybe it might be like what often happens for me. Oh my God, thank God I didn't send this. So when you can be thoughtful in all of your interactions, when you can be mindful, you can also minimize future regrets. Now, here's what's interesting. When I was researching regrets, because I always think about what's my topic going to be. I have run into people and they share what they'd like to hear about, or they shoot me an email, and I was surprised to learn that one of the top regrets that people have. I want to give you a moment to just think for a minute. If you had to think of sort of categorically, what is the top thing people regret? You may be surprised, as I was, to learn that one of the top things is education. What? I read that and I thought, really? But people regret not being bold in choosing a major that they wanted, or not getting that extra degree, or whatever decision. That there are a lot of regrets around education. Now, that didn't make sense to me until yesterday. Yesterday, I started teaching the new cohort at UW-Madison. I'm actually on campus right now. I'm in one of the computer labs before our class starts again today, the Professional Life Coaching Certificate class. Now, this is a class that's designed for adults, for professionals, for working professionals, for people who want to either become certified to be a professional life coach, to do it full-time, or professionals who want to learn the skills of coaching so they can be more effective in their life, in their role, whatever it may be, as a pastor, as a financial advisor, as a social worker. I mean, you wouldn't believe the range of professions and people that we have in this program. And the one thing they all have in common is that they have an undergraduate degree and a career, although some of them are stay-at-home parents. They've hit the pause button. And yesterday, when we came together for our first morning, we did introductions. And they were really thoughtful, vulnerable, deep introductions. And I was absolutely amazed at how many people talked about the power of this choice, of saying yes to their education and saying, you know, I saw this email from UW-Madison, I decided that I'm not going to put myself on the back burner any longer. I'm not going to have another regret for another year or another 5 years. I'm going to take control. I'm going to step in. And while this is intense and rigorous, I want to make a decision for me. I was amazed at that theme and at the joy in the room and the excitement and the anxiety for having made a bold decision to commit to a 150-hour, 9-month program in something that most of the people come into really are brand new at, know nothing about. They're just being driven by their passion, their heart, by living a life of no regret. So I leave you today with a challenge and a weekly workout this week to pause and think about your decisions before you act. To give yourself the gift of not reacting in the moment and later regretting it. And of thinking about regrets that you have. We all have regrets. Of course we have regrets. I have so many regrets. The other part of your invitation for this week, for your challenge, is to think about past regrets that you have in a thoughtful way and learn from them. And look at those past decisions mistakes, regrets, whatever you want to call them, and allow yourself to pause, to think about what did I regret and what decision would I have made differently, and how can that inform me in my life today so that I can act in a way that brings me the greatest joy and passion and connection and relationship. So any regrets you have, turn them into a wonderful life lesson so that you can make choices that honor you moving forward. Thank you so much for joining me every Thursday. For those of you who do come every Thursday, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I love the comments that I get both online and email in person. And for those of you who are watching for the first time, thank you for coming. There's a bunch of archives going all the way back to January every week. And every week moving forward, I'm going to be coming here talking about how to be thoughtfully fit in your life. So I look forward to seeing you. Have a great week of no regrets. Take care.